The world fractures in a flash of pink, a life violently cut short. Meanwhile, an ordinary life continues, a delivery driver rushing up a grimy stairwell. Hunted and terrified, a shadowy figure flees through the woods, lasers painting its path. A scream of pure fire erupts, a being consumed by its own inferno. A casual greeting is offered from a cage where powerful players gather. Pure, unadulterated fear fills his eyes, his silence bought with piercing currency. Welcome to a crimson nightmare, where a smiling mask oversees a legion of the damned, and you thought your upstairs neighbors were loud. The delivery drivers pulled into a void, an endless gauntlet of pale, grasping limbs. And in the aftermath, a man confronts the monster he's become. A delivery job becomes the first chapter of a bloody thriller. A terrified boy is thrown into a chaotic adventure by a mysterious stranger. The world explodes into a blue-tinted frenzy of violent action. Welcome to the Jianghu, a brutal world of fighters and strange creatures. A crew of strange and deadly warriors surveys the aftermath. The boy's mind races, fearing they are fighting actual ghosts. His companion leans in with a chilling, almost playful warning. He glances back, seeing two more mysterious figures watching from the rooftops. And just like that, another one bites the dust. Literally. The truth is revealed in a flash of light, a horde of hungry ghouls. The ghoul hunt is over, but the horror lingers in this cold, tiled corridor. They find what the ghouls were guarding, a door plastered with containment seals. But the seals are torn, the heavy door already breached from the inside. Whatever was locked away in this place is now terrifyingly free. Elsewhere, a different crew in sharp suits moves with grim purpose. They hunt for a target that lurks just out of sight, a figure cloaked in red. Their search leads them to an ornate crimson coffin, humming with dark energy. With careful gloved hands, they prepare to unseal the ancient tomb. A prophecy echoes, promising that what was lost is not gone forever. Inside lies a pale, dormant being, destined to one day return. A life ends with a final bloody sigh, leaving behind nothing but a scarlet stain on the world. Meanwhile, across the rain-slicked city, the night is still young. Down below, the world is just a blur of motion and light. And weaving through it all is a delivery driver defying gravity itself. His destination is a rundown building in a forgotten corner of the city. The final leg of the journey is a climb up a familiar, grimy stairwell. He carries his cargo, just another late-night meal for a hungry customer. Meet Zhang Jia, an 18-year-old who calls himself an outstanding delivery boy. But even the outstanding get winded climbing all the way to the 8th floor. He reaches the door, triumphant and ready to complete his mission. The door creaks open, a sliver of light cutting through the gloom. But his welcome is a complaint from a very hungry, very unhappy customer. The threat of a bad review hangs in the air, a delivery driver's worst nightmare. A hand moves with desperate speed, trying to stop the inevitable. Zhang Jia pleads his case, blaming the pouring rain for the delay. He bows low, offering compliments and promising a free dessert next time. His eyes are wide with panic, begging for a little bit of mercy. The customer finally relents, and our boy breathes a sigh of relief. He knows an outstanding person can submit when the time calls for it. He leaves with a final grumble, only to be called back for a forgotten straw. The city is a blur of neon and rain as he rejoins the other night riders. He breathes a sigh of relief, thinking his work is finally done for the night. But a fellow driver pulls up, asking how his day has been. Zhang Jia explains he has one last, dreaded order to complete. The task is to haul 2 massive water bottles for a pitifully small tip. The 5-liter jugs look more like anchors than refreshments. But our boy is a professional, sprinting toward the building with his heavy cargo. He's stopped at the entrance by a man asking for his destination. The receipt reveals the final horror. Unit 1801, the 18th floor. Zhang Jia shouts he'll be right back, dashing into the rainy night. But the man at the entrance is troubled, recalling the destination, Unit 1801. He looks up at the towering apartment block, a sense of dread washing over him. Inside the elevator, a finger confidently presses the button for the 18th floor. Zhang Jia leans against the wall, exhausted and just wanting the job to be over. But a closer look at the receipt reveals a critical mistake. The address is for the 16th floor. He's far too tired to notice, his mind already focused on going home to sleep. As the elevator climbs past the 17th floor, the man at the desk seems to remember something awful. The display hits 18, confirming the delivery driver has gone to the wrong floor. The doors slide open, and Zhang Jia stands ready to step out into the unknown. He glances out, his long night almost at its end. But the man at the desk recalls a chilling detail. This floor is unoccupied. The old metal gate groans open, revealing the darkness beyond. Zhang Jia peers out, a flicker of confusion on his face. He steps into a place that's been sealed off for nearly a decade. And for a moment, his eyes seem to burn with an unnatural light. The truth is, he's just stepped into a private high-rise graveyard. A place of sealed doors, prayer candles, and rumored hidden treasures. Downstairs, the man at the desk puts the horrifying pieces together. Our boy is in the one place he was never, ever supposed to be. He stands before Unit 1801, the wrong address on a floor he should have never visited. He calls out, announcing the delivery to the supposedly empty apartment. But he hesitates, realizing the door isn't locked. It's already slightly ajar. He pushes it open, his greeting met with the sight of a bloody handprint on the lock. He looks down into a room littered with the bodies of fallen men. The scene is a grim tableau of a violent, one-sided struggle. And scattered among the dead, he sees the prize they fought for, bars of gold. But from the darkness, an eye snaps open, burning with an unnatural glow. His mind shatters, the shock sending his heavy cargo tumbling to the floor. Survival instinct kicks in, and Zhang Jia bolts down the hallway without a second thought. He scrambles for the elevator, his mind screaming at the murder scene he just witnessed. He frantically mashes the button, but the elevator is still stuck on the first floor. Sweat pours down his face, his eyes wide with the kind of terror that freezes you solid. He fumbles for his phone, his hands shaking as he tries to dial for help. His only thought is to call the police, a desperate attempt to escape this nightmare. He collapses against the wall, shouting into the phone, trying to will a connection into existence. But the screen confirms his worst fear: no signal. Of course there's no signal. Trapped and alone, he claws at the elevator gate, his pleas echoing in the empty hall. His voice becomes a desperate whisper, a prayer for anyone to save him. But then a faint cough comes from the room, and he realizes someone is still alive in there. Zhang Jia's mind races, caught between raw terror and a flicker of conscience. A weak voice whispers from the darkness, a desperate plea for help. He turns back to the elevator, his only escape slowly climbing to his floor. As the doors prepare to open, he makes his choice, whispering an apology. But the plea echoes again, a haunting reminder of the life he's abandoning. His face twists with guilt, the weight of his cowardice crushing him. The elevator doors slide open, offering a path to safety he can't bring himself to take. In a surge of adrenaline, he makes a new, much more heroic decision. He sprints back down the hall, running toward the danger he just fled. Zhang Jia stands at the threshold once more, ready to face whatever lies within. He steps back into the carnage, his courage warring with his common sense. His eyes narrow with a newfound resolve, sweat beading on his brow. He pushes deeper into the room, stepping past the very treasure these men died for. Another weak cough echoes from the back of the apartment, drawing him further in. He cautiously peers around a corner, searching for the lone survivor. His face is a mask of terror, but he can't bring himself to turn back now. And then he sees it, not a dying man, but a massive, ornate crimson coffin. It hums with a dark energy, the source of the sounds he's been hearing. His mind struggles to process what he's seeing. A coffin in an abandoned apartment? Sure, why not? With trembling hands, he leans over the edge, peering into the abyss. A pale hand reaches from the darkness, a single desperate plea echoing from within. Zhang Jia's eyes widen in sheer horror, reflecting the crimson abyss of the coffin. His mind fractures, seeing not a box, but a hellish sea of the damned reaching for him. He screams, scrambling backward as the reality of the situation finally crashes down. All thoughts of heroism are gone. He's back to running for his life through the dark apartment. But his escape is cut short by a new group of very serious-looking men in suits. The leader points, clearly mistaking our boy for someone who has a clue what's going on. Zhang Jia frantically tries to explain he's just here with the late-night snacks. He insists he knows nothing, that he just stumbled upon this bloody scene. Desperate, he points back toward the coffin, babbling about a child's cry for help. He declared with determination that he came here to save his friend. But suddenly a man in black grabbed him and covered his mouth. The boy's eyes widened in terror as his strength drained away. A sharp crack echoed through his spine. The fatal blow was dealt. His body collapsed lifelessly at the enemy's feet. The cold-blooded killer stared down with an expressionless face. A black shoe pressed against his chest, blood splattering around. The man crushed his throat underfoot, denying him even a final breath. The boy lay in a pool of blood, his hand slipping helplessly aside. From his pocket slipped a gold bar stained with blood. The boy's face lay still as if all life had left him. One thug ordered the place to be cleaned, and the others obeyed. A man in a suit reported over the phone that he had found what he was looking for. In the flashlight's beam, a mysterious red coffin was revealed. A trail of blood and a stained weapon remained on the floor. Men in gloves began preparing the body for disposal. Suddenly, the boy opened his eyes and cursed weakly. He realized he couldn't feel his body. The men in black dragged him toward a bag as if he were dead, but he regained consciousness and whispered, "Wait," as the zipper closed over him. But the men in suits aren't listening, his mind flashing back to another humbling moment. He recalls the weary eyes that stared back from the mirror each morning. He sees the blood-soaked gold that sealed his fate tonight. He remembers the endless struggle, pushing himself through the pouring rain, and the back-breaking delivery that brought him to this very building. In the present, a gloved hand slowly zips up a black jacket. It turns out the old cliché is true. His life is flashing before his eyes. His world shatters into 1,000 broken memories. A lifetime of running, falling, and getting back up again, all ending on a simple, forgotten image from a distant childhood. A faded photograph reflects a memory of a family, a life he barely remembers. But that past shatters, leaving only fragments of a boy lost in the darkness. His consciousness drifts away, a final, peaceful surrender to the end. And then his eyes open, now glowing with a strange, impossible blue light. He finds himself standing in a black void, completely disoriented. His mind screams with questions, trying to grasp what has happened to him. A new wave of panic hits as he realizes he's completely paralyzed. He can only look up, a prisoner in his own body, lost in an endless night. Trapped and terrified, he can do nothing but stare into the abyss. He looks down to find himself barefoot, another bizarre twist in this living nightmare. His shock deepens as a pale hand drifts into his field of vision. He realizes he's not alone in the void, but surrounded by countless pale limbs. A silent, endless forest of disembodied legs stretches into the darkness. The impossible crowd seems to multiply, pressing in from all sides. The camera pulls back, showing Zhang Jia as a tiny figure in this bizarre tableau. His mind struggles to process the surreal, horrifying sight before him. He's trapped in a nightmare populated entirely by feet. This is getting weird. A new presence emerges, a gloved hand delivering a single insistent command. The command becomes a chorus, echoing from the legion of pale figures. He screams in terror and confusion, demanding to know what door they mean. A gloved hand closes around his, pulling him deeper into the nightmare. The grip is like iron, dragging him toward an unknown, terrifying fate. He fights back, his voice a raw plea to be released from this hell. And then, a fire ignites deep within his soul, reflected in his eyes. His body erupts in a violent, uncontrollable inferno of orange and red. A scream of pure agony tears from his throat as he's consumed by the flames. He's trapped in a personal hell, burning from the inside out. The fire becomes his voice, a roar of pain and newfound power. But the scream echoes not in a void, but from a cold metal furnace. And a quiet old man is the sole audience to this private cremation. The old man watches, sensing a strange energy pulsing from within the furnace. He leans closer, his casual demeanor replaced by a dawning sense of alarm. His eyes widen in horror as a charred hand grips the edge of the burning chamber. The furnace erupts, a silhouette of pure rage clawing its way out of the inferno. The heavy steel door is blown open, sending the old man stumbling back in terror. Zhang Jia's body collapses, a smoking corpse with eyes that burn with an unholy light. But this story began earlier, with a group of men running through the night. The same old man leads a crew armed with shovels. Just a casual night out, I guess. He points with grim certainty, convinced they've found what they're looking for. They enter the crematorium, the very place where this nightmare was meant to end. The old man stares at the empty slab, realizing his prize is already gone. Meanwhile, Zhang Jia's mind is thrown back to another night, another desperate hunt. He experiences a memory of falling, of a body breaking down under a violent assault. The original owner of this memory cries out, horrified by his own monstrous transformation. But the vision fractures, showing a different man tripping in those same dark woods. This one looks back in confusion, wondering if he's trapped in a terrible dream. His consciousness is a storm of broken images, a life that clearly isn't his. He sees a hand twisting into a claw, a body consumed by that familiar inferno, and the nightmare vision of the void returns, an endless march of pale, bare feet. But back in the real world, a new player arrives, their headlights cutting through the night. A truck pulls into a darkened warehouse, its headlights cutting through the gloom. A man in sunglasses steps out, theatrically announcing he's brought back the prize. He reports to a stern-faced boss, a man who radiates cold, quiet authority. The crew moves to unload a massive sealed container from the back of the truck. The boss watches with an unreadable expression as his men get to work. His subordinate smirks, his eyes hidden behind the dark reflection of his glasses. Inside the container is the crimson coffin, and the boss gives a simple command to open it. Its surface is a tapestry of blood-red carvings, ancient and deeply unsettling. The vision shifts back to the woods, to the body's original owner, bound and terrified. He touches his face, his blue eyes wide with the shocking realization that he's still alive. His mind struggles to accept it, the impossible reality that he's still alive. The vision flashes back to the moment it all began. Zhang Jia at the door. The memory distorts, the eyes now looking like they belong to a lifeless doll. As the memories swirl, the lid to the crimson coffin is slowly lifted, revealing the pale man inside, trapped and staring up into the darkness. And that haunting command echoes again from the forest of pale limbs. The psychic assault continues, his eyes reflecting pure, unadulterated horror. Back in the coffin, his body finally reacts, racked by a bloody cough. The world dissolves into an omen, a purple sky filled with circling crows. You know, just in case things weren't ominous enough. And watching it all unfold is the man in the red sunglasses, cool as ever. The boss peers into the empty coffin, demanding to know where its contents are. His subordinate seems confused, confirming this is the prize they sought, the gates of hell. The man in sunglasses maintains his cool, almost mocking his boss's concern. But the boss's patience snaps, his fury exploding in a crimson haze. He can't believe the intel was so wrong, that the legendary gates of hell was a mere coffin. The vision returns to the woods, to the original owner of this body's final moments. His memory sinks into a dark abyss, the words gates of hell echoing in the void. The memory leaves behind a single bloody footprint, a mark of his passing. He stumbles through the woods, leaving a trail of blood in the pale dirt. And all these fragmented memories lead back to one place, Unit 1801. The memory flashes to a blade drawn in the heat of a bloody conflict. Back in the warehouse, the men in suits carefully lift the lid of the crimson coffin. A blade slices through the darkness, a memory of a fatal strike. One of the men urges the others to hurry, impatient to see their prize. But a dark red liquid begins to seep from the coffin, pooling on the floor. A crew member looks up, his focus shifting from effort to dawning concern. The crimson stain spreads, a grim omen of what they're about to uncover. It pools next to a bloody handprint, a ghost of the violence that has already passed. And we flash back to that violence as two wounded men stumble through Unit 1801. One of them gasps for air, his life fading amidst the scattered gold. The memory returns to the men in suits standing in the quiet before the storm. Then, a sudden, brutal ambush sends them scrambling in a bloody panic. Their professional calm shatters into screams of pure agony and terror. One survivor tries to flee, begging for his life from the monster at his back. His final desperate plea echoes in the darkness of the apartment. Sometime later, a new player arrives, his hands already wrapped for a fight. He dips a finger into the lingering blood, a grim taste of the violence left behind. He confirms this is the place, noting someone was kind enough to clean up the mess. The man in the red sunglasses begins his own, much quieter investigation. He crouches low, searching for any trace of what truly happened in Unit 1801. He lifts a blood-tipped needle, his focus now on finding what's been lost. The world blurs as someone tears through the darkened woods, and that someone is Zhang Jia, running for a life he didn't even know he had. He leaves a trail of bloody footprints, a stark reminder of his impossible escape. His mind reels, questioning if the horrors he's seen were just a hallucination. But a sound in the darkness snaps him back to the terrifying present. He looks back to see the old man from the crematorium leading a search party. The men grumble, with one blaming Old Lee for not checking if the body was actually dead. Old Lee insists the job was done, claiming the boy's neck was already broken. You know, just a minor workplace disagreement. But Zhang Jia's eyes tell a different story, burning with a life that refuses to be extinguished. The search party pushes deeper into the woods, their flashlights cutting the gloom. Zhang Jia's mind flashes back, the word customer echoing with a new sinister meaning. He realizes the men in suits were the customers Old Lee was working for. The memory is a blur of motion, a chaotic piece of a puzzle he can't solve. He remembers the moment before his death, Old Lee's face looming over him with a false apology. The memory becomes violent, a brutal struggle against Old Lee in these very woods. He relives the sheer terror and pain of being overpowered by the old man. Old Lee whispers a chilling justification. This is about survival, and the boy's life is the price. The old man twists the knife, telling the boy his death is his own fault. You know, standard HR procedure. His final moments are a silent scream, a desperate fight for a breath that will never come. The memory continues, a desperate, violent struggle in the dark woods. He's knocked to the ground, the world spinning as his attackers close in. But he fights back with everything he has, refusing to go down without a fight. The memory shows him completely surrounded, a lone figure against a mob. Old Lee's crew shouts, determined to capture their cornered prey. Wounded and exhausted, he can only watch as the circle tightens around him. He pleads with them to stay back, a final desperate attempt to reason with them. His mind screams with a single agonizing question: why is this happening? He looks up at the faces of his killers, his eyes reflecting their grim resolve. And with a final bloody cough, the original owner of this body finally falls. The memory continues, the body's original owner broken and bleeding on the forest floor. One of the men hesitates, a flicker of conscience in his eyes. But another reminds him of his debt, a price that must be paid in blood. The man's resolve hardens, his fear replaced by grim necessity. Against a blood-red sky, the crew raises their weapons for the final brutal act. The blue-eyed man offers a final empty apology, promising to burn money for his soul. And with that, they bring their weapons down in a flurry of violent motion. The crew looks on, their faces a grim tableau of men forced to do the unthinkable. But even as they strike, a hand reaches up in one last desperate act of defiance. The memory ends with a final silent image, a life extinguished in the cold, dark woods. But the memory twists as one of the killers suddenly stops, overcome by a strange force. He leaves a single bloody footprint, a sign that the violence is far from over. His eyes are wide with a terror that isn't his own, a puppet on an unseen string. The rest of the crew looks on, their faces frozen in confusion and dawning fear. Then, in a flash of red, one of them turns on his own in a brutal, unexpected attack. Old Lee can only watch in horror as his men begin to tear each other apart. The forest erupts into a symphony of screams as the crew descends into madness. Their leader's pleas are lost in the chaos, a desperate attempt to regain control. So much for Employee of the Month. But a quiet voice cuts through the noise, a chilling whisper right behind him. And he turns to see an eye burning with a hatred that has clearly returned from the grave. The memory continues, the resurrected man standing as the calm center of the storm. He spreads his arms wide, a conductor orchestrating his own bloody revenge. One of the killers screams, his body no longer his own, a puppet in this horror show. The forest floor becomes a canvas of blue-tinted violence and raw agony. The vision fades, leaving Zhang Jia kneeling in the dirt, surrounded by the bloody aftermath. He collapses, the weight of a dead man's memories crushing his mind. His pain is echoed by another memory, a desperate plea from inside the crimson coffin. The two memories merge, revealing the same blue-eyed man, trapped and begging for help. He clutches his face, the impossible truth reflected in that single glowing eye. And we finally see the face of the coffin's original occupant, a being of pale skin and dark secrets. The resurrected man kneels, the calm center of his own bloody revenge. He rises, a skeletal figure fueled by an impossible burning rage. His eyes glow with a chilling blue light, a ghost returned to the living world. The memory dissolves into a symbolic image of a black koi swimming in darkness, and his bloody trail leads from the forest right back to the apartment building, connecting the massacre to the moment Zhang Jia found the crimson coffin. From within its depths, the memory of that desperate plea finally makes sense. The world becomes a distorted prison, seen through a single, trapped blue eye. A flicker of consciousness in the abyss, a soul refusing to be contained. The vision ends on a strange omen, two crossed needles sealing a dark fate. The vision shifts again to a pair of calm, dark eyes staring into the void. They see a dark, endless archive, a place where souls are stored and forgotten. A crimson bell tolls, summoning a memory of a dark and bloody ritual. And the calm shatters, replaced by tears and a dawning, inescapable horror. A pale hand is bound, its skin marked with cryptic, bloody runes. The body is a canvas for an ancient, unspeakable ceremony. Their feet are tied, trapped in the center of this unholy rite. A circle of blood and candlelight seals them within their prison. The walls are plastered with talismans, meant to contain whatever is inside. The prisoner strains against their bonds, a silent scream etched on their face. And this is the result. A man crucified, his body a canvas for their dark magic. A shadowy observer looks on, seemingly impressed by the grim spectacle. The prisoner's eyes are wide with terror, his face a mask of disbelief. The vision shifts to a game of mahjong, and a hand that can only be called a miracle. And we see the players, a strange crew gathered for a game in this dark place. The man in the pink sunglasses watches with a cool, unsettling confidence. His companion is a woman with a sharp gaze and an even sharper haircut. Across from them sits a man in pajamas, his prosthetic hand a stark crimson. And the fourth player, the one who just won, seems lost in his own thoughts. But the vision returns to the prisoner, his beard a chain of ancient, cursed coins. Talk about being bought and paid for. The man in pink sunglasses watches the prisoner struggle, his muffled pleas lost behind a beard of coins. He seems to have a sudden realization, a spark of an idea in this grim setting. With a casual apology, he walks over and rips the coin gag from the prisoner's face. The prisoner chokes, his mouth filled with what looks like hundreds of tiny white pellets. He spits them out in a disgusting torrent, a flood of whatever they forced him to eat. The man in pajamas calmly explains it's just sticky rice, part of a cleansing ritual, standard spa treatment. But the prisoner's face is a mask of sweat and terror, clearly not feeling very cleansed. His vision fractures, his mind screaming in panic as he pleads his innocence to his captors. He looks down in horror at the bloody runes covering his skin, but the players just tell him to relax. He's a living canvas for their dark ritual, bound and marked for some unknown purpose. The woman with the sharp haircut offers a chilling, almost playful threat. Her gaze is cold and sharp, promising a world of pain. The prisoner can only stare back, his mind completely broken by the ordeal. The man in pink sunglasses breaks the silence with a simple, chilling question. His eyes are wide with a terror that has no words. He asks what Zhang Jia was doing in that apartment the night before. Wait, Zhang Jia? The prisoner insists he was only there to deliver a late-night meal. The fourth player finally speaks, asking who else was in the apartment. He frantically explains the room was filled with bodies, swearing he had nothing to do with it. The woman listens to his plea, her expression unreadable and cold. He continues his story, his eyes wide with the memory of what he found. He tells them about the ornate crimson coffin humming with dark energy. And inside that coffin, he stammers, was a child crying out for help. The man in the pink sunglasses listens, his expression unreadable. The man in pajamas points his crimson prosthetic, a silent accusation. He asks if Zhang Jia was the one who took both the coffin and the child. Zhang Jia screams his innocence, reminding them they're the ones who killed him. The woman reveals the men from the woods were all staff at the local funeral parlor. A crew that moonlights in illegal body disposal, for extra cash. She explains they're the go-to cleanup crew for the local mafias. She reveals the men in suits from the apartment were the real mafia. The man with the crimson hand asks how a delivery boy managed to anger them. The woman concludes the mafia took the coffin, and Zhang Jia can only guess that's what happened. But the fourth player, the quiet one at the table, calmly disagrees. He holds up the needle from the crime scene, explaining its ancient, impossible origin. The man in pink sunglasses drops a bombshell. The child may be 300 years old. He wonders who would unearth such a thing and hide it on an abandoned floor, but the quiet player insists the truth is far more complicated than that. Zhang Jia is completely lost, his mind reeling from their cryptic conversation. The man in pajamas turns the accusation back on him, asking if he's the one who released it. Zhang Jia's eyes widen, his mind fracturing under the weight of their questions. A memory flashes, a single command echoing from the darkness of the coffin. He remembers looking down, a hand reaching for him from the crimson abyss. He can almost feel the sweat on his face, the terror of that moment returning, and the desperate plea that pulled him deeper into the nightmare. His memory shows his own hands gripping the edge of that unholy box. He was the one who stood at the threshold, the one who opened the coffin. And in that moment, his eyes glowing blue, he gave a single fateful answer. The vision shifts to the coffin's original occupant, a stitched-up husk lying dormant. A pale, sleeping face, the source of all this chaos and bloodshed. He remembers leaning over the coffin, a delivery boy at the gates of hell. A memory flashes of a needle sealing the dormant being's fate. And then, those impossible blue eyes opened, staring up from the abyss. The vision hits Zhang Jia like a physical blow, his own eyes wide with terror. The image of the crossed needles returns, a symbol of a broken seal. In his mind, he wasn't just opening a box, he was opening a door to damnation. His scream echoes in the present, but the quiet player remains perfectly calm. The man's gaze is intense, dissecting every word of Zhang Jia's story. The man in pajamas accuses him of lying, but Zhang Jia can only plead his innocence. But the quiet player simply picks up a tile, ready to make his move. He states their new mission, capture the being from the coffin and do it fast. He then calmly declares victory in their game, a stark contrast to Zhang Jia's mounting terror. The man in pajamas questions if they're really the ones for a job this strange. But the man in pink sunglasses reassures him with a confident smirk. They are professionals, after all. The word echoes in Zhang Jia's mind, a hollow promise in this house of horrors. He breaks down, begging these so-called professionals to let him go, promising his silence. But the quiet player turns back with a simple, chilling apology. The man in pink sunglasses explains they can't let him go. He's now a very important specimen. He leans in, a predatory smile playing on his lips as he continues his explanation. He explains that a boy who can survive death is far too dangerous to be allowed to roam free. The man in pink sunglasses announces he's found his target in the dark woods. A closer look reveals a gaping black void where an eye should be. He holds the same ancient needle from the apartment, ready to finish the job. But something goes wrong, a psychic jolt reflecting in his stunned eyes. A massive shadowy force erupts, sending him flying back in a storm of violence. The forest floor is torn apart, splattered with the blood of the sudden attack. But he's back on his feet, a confident smirk on his face. So much for a quick capture. He moves with impossible speed, his hands now claws as he engages the creature. But he's not fighting one creature, he's surrounded by an entire pack of them. He seems delighted by the challenge, calling this a fresh hunt as the chaos unfolds. He continues his explanation, his hand twisting into a monstrous claw. He offers a mock apology as he tears through one of the shadowy beasts. His grip is like iron, a stark contrast to his casual demeanor. He explains that letting something this powerful roam free is simply not an option. The memory of the forest massacre flashes, a scene of brutal, inhuman strength. Because a being like that, he concludes, would only bring chaos to the world. Zhangjia's eyes are wide with terror, realizing they're talking about him. The woman leans in, offering a chillingly specific warning about what they'll do next. His mind flashes back to the bloody footprints he left in the woods. He screams, finally connecting his escape to the resurrected man's bloody trail. The man in pink sunglasses leans in, a smug smile playing on his lips. He explains they are a special kind of cleanup crew, dealing with broken seals and dark things. With their game of mahjong concluded, the team prepares to move out. The quiet player is the true leader, his mind already focused on the hunt. A spectral crow with a burning red eye gives the signal to begin the mission. The quiet player confirms their target. The child has finally been located. As they leave, the man in pajamas is already worried about their next game night. Priorities. But Zhangjia calls out, a forgotten loose end in their little interrogation. The man in pink sunglasses casually orders the woman Gongling to bury him. And the last thing Zhangjia sees is the shadow of his own impending doom. The full moon hangs in the sky, a silent witness to the night's horrors. It watches over the city and the building where this nightmare began. A memory flashes of a hand open and reaching for something lost. But that memory is replaced by the grip of a killer, holding a bloody blade. Someone stands over the aftermath, their shoes reflecting the grim scene. They turn and walk away, leaving only bloodstains on the cold floor. A fist clenches against the city lights, a promise of pain delivered. And on the ground lies the result, a body surrounded by a halo of blood. Elsewhere, a pale man with glowing eyes announces he's found his target. Well, he looks friendly. As the hunt continues, the sky over the forest turns a foreboding shade of purple. A pale foot with black nails steps onto the cold, hard ground. The creature's silhouette is a blur of desperate, frantic motion. It collapses under the shadow of a forgotten landmark, a weak cough echoing in the silence. Back in the interrogation room, Zhangjia gasps, his mind reeling from their threats. He begs for his life, promising to do anything they ask if they just let him live. But the man in pink sunglasses just offers a predatory, knowing smile. Zhangjia asks in confusion, questioning their plans to bury his body. The woman Gongling turns to him, her expression cold and final. She clarifies their intentions. They're only burying his head. Well, that's an HR policy I haven't heard of. And Zhangjia's world shatters, his eyes reflecting pure, unadulterated horror. A flash of violent motion as Gongling prepares to deliver the final blow. Zhangjia screams, pleading for his life with every ounce of his being. He stammers, trying to find the one thing that will stop his execution. In a desperate gambit, he claims he hid the child, and they'll never find it without him. The quiet player and the man in pink sunglasses pause, his words finally getting their attention. The man in pink sunglasses demands to know the location, his voice cutting through the tension. Zhangjia's mind races, trying to invent a lie that will save his skin. The quiet player listens, the spectral crow on his shoulder a silent, ominous judge. But Gongling isn't buying it, dismissing his desperate plea as nonsense. His face contorts in terror, realizing his one bargaining chip might not be enough. But Gongling's final blow is stopped by a single gloved hand. The man in pink sunglasses considers the possibility that this terrified kid is actually telling the truth. Zhangjia seizes the moment, swearing his honesty with the desperation of a man on the edge. A hand reaches out, not to strike, but to offer a temporary and very conditional truce. He's told this is just a postponement of his fate. He's still their property. The ritualistic bonds are loosened, the bloody runes a stark reminder of his captivity. Now unbound, Zhangjia is given a simple warning. Don't even think about running. But his eyes tell a different story, a silent scream trapped behind a mask of compliance. He's led from his prison, a temporary member of this strange and deadly crew. They walk through a hall of sealed urns, a library of contained horrors. He looks back, his mind still reeling from the interrogation and his narrow escape from death. Gongling leads him forward, a prisoner escorted through their grim headquarters. The quiet player and his companion approach a heavy wooden door, leading them out into the night. Sweat beads on Zhang Jia's face, his apprehension growing with every step. They step out from the archive, not into a city street, but an ancient open courtyard. The camera pulls back to reveal a massive, traditional estate hidden deep within the woods. Its ornate roofs cut a dark silhouette against the night sky, a place untouched by time. The entire compound is silent and imposing, a secret world hidden from sight. Zhang Jia's eyes widen in disbelief, trying to comprehend this impossible place. He demands to know where he is, and his captors offer a deeply unhelpful welcome. They reveal the name of this hidden fortress, Lisong Temple. Zhang Jia stares up at the ancient structure, the name echoing in his mind. His brain short-circuits, realizing their secret base is a public tourist attraction. The quiet player, now in simple robes, gestures for the rest of the crew to follow. The man with the crimson hand lets out a massive yawn, clearly unimpressed. He decides hunting ancient evils is too much work and heads off to bed. Priorities, I guess. The man in pink sunglasses tells Zhang Jia it's time to go, and our boy has little choice but to agree. The quiet player is addressed by a new name, Xiao Ye, as he prepares to lead the mission. He's given a final instruction. Don't act unless it's a true emergency. But as Zhang Jia takes a step, Gongling calls for them to halt, her eyes fixed on his feet. He's still covered in bloody wounds, but his main concern is finding some clothes. The crew stares back, their expressions a mix of boredom and mild annoyance. The ancient temple looms over them, its dark architecture hiding countless secrets. The quiet player tosses down a simple robe with an almost dismissive apology. He eagerly puts on the robe, but his mind is already focused on what truly matters. His eyes narrow with a secret resolve, a plan forming behind his terrified expression. He realizes he's finally outside, his mind already plotting the perfect moment to run. But his escape plan hits a snag as Gongling gestures toward a waiting van. The side of the van bears a simple, almost ironic name for their little operation. Inside, the man in pink sunglasses lays out the plan. Zhang Jia will lead them to his prize. As the van cuts through the dark woods, Zhang Jia's mind is already racing. His eyes dart to the side, a desperate plan already taking shape. He realizes a moving vehicle offers a better chance of escape than their fortress. As they head down the mountain, he knows his window of opportunity is closing. He just needs one moment, his hand hovering over the door handle. And in a burst of adrenaline, he throws the door open and leaps into the night. He tumbles down the steep embankment as his captors scream for him to stop. He hits the ground hard, the impact jarring but not enough to slow him down. Scrambling to his feet, he sprints into the forest, a triumphant grin on his face. But back in the van, the man in pink sunglasses just offers a knowing, confident smirk. But Zhang Jia's mind is still working, believing his escape is going perfectly to plan. He's just waiting for the right moment, the perfect opportunity to present itself. But his plan didn't account for Gongling driving like a getaway driver in a heist movie. He's thrown around the back of the van, his composure cracking under the sheer speed. The van finally slows as they enter the neon glow of the city. He grabs his captor's arm, feigning a question while plotting his next move. As he sees people on the street, he realizes a new opportunity has arrived. He presses his face to the glass, screaming for help with all his might. His desperate cries catch the attention of a group of very large, very concerned citizens. The men shout back, promising to help and demanding the van pull over immediately. Zhang Jia smirks, convinced his plan to attract public attention is working perfectly. But his brilliant escape strategy didn't account for a severe case of motion sickness. He begs them to stop the van, his stomach churning from Gongling's driving. They pull over just in time for him to empty his stomach on the side of the road. Gongling worries he'll throw up the ritual items, but her partner isn't concerned. The man in pink sunglasses coolly reminds her that with him here, there's nothing to fear. As Zhang Jia struggles, Gongling wonders if he's truly reverted to being human. Her partner confirms it with a knowing smile, his eyes fixed on their specimen. The scene shifts to a dark, misty forest, a place far from the city lights. And we see their true target, a pale, emaciated creature receiving a grim apology. The man in pink sunglasses delivers a chillingly casual threat to his target. The creature collapses, its body dissolving into shadow as it whispers in disbelief. For a moment, its features soften, a fleeting glimpse of the person it once was. Back in the present, he questions Gongling's decision to let Zhang Jia out of the van. She knows their prisoner is lying, seeing right through his desperate bluff. But the man in pink sunglasses has a plan, letting him out to see what he'll do. He watches with a cool, predatory gaze, waiting for the right moment to act. Meanwhile, Zhang Jia is still recovering from his bout of violent motion sickness. His captors watch from a distance, giving him just enough rope. So thoughtful. But our boy sees this not as a weakness, but as the perfect opportunity to escape. He decides this is his moment, his one and only chance to break free. He sprints down the sidewalk, a grin of triumph on his face, only to run into a new problem. His eyes lock with a pair of glowing blue orbs, a chilling reflection of his own transformation. And he finds himself staring at a pair of pale, bare feet, a sight that is becoming disturbingly familiar. His escape is cut short by a figure made of shadow and legs, so much for a clean getaway. But it's the man in pink sunglasses who appears behind him, his smile dripping with condescension. Defeated, Zhang Jia can only agree, glancing back at the spot where the strange being stood. But the street is empty now, the mysterious figure gone as quickly as it appeared. His captor walks him back to the van, feigning concern for his well-being. And with a firm shove, Zhang Jia is unceremoniously returned to his mobile prison. The man in pink sunglasses' playful demeanor vanishes, replaced by the cold focus of a hunter. Back in the van, he urges the quiet player to hurry, the mission now officially underway. He settles into the passenger seat, his smirk doing little to calm Zhang Jia's nerves. The van lurches forward, and Zhang Jia's eyes widen in sheer, unadulterated panic. They tear through the city streets, a white blur on a dark and urgent errand. Zhang Jia begs them to slow down, but his captor just tells him to rest up. He's told they're following a guide, leaving our boy completely baffled. The man in pink sunglasses reveals their guide has been watching from the sky all along. A lone black crow soars above them, a dark omen leading them through the night. Its form is skeletal and unnatural, a grim navigator on this hunt for the damned. Their eyes in the sky are a legion of red-eyed crows awaiting their master's call. Back at the temple, the quiet player, Xiao Ye, gets an update from the field. He asks his team for a status report, wanting to know if they've found their target. The van finally skids to a halt, kicking up dust on a dark, forgotten road. Zhang Jia stumbles out, his feet hitting the cold ground as he's let out of the van. The high-speed chase has left him a nauseous wreck on the pavement. His captors, however, seem completely unfazed. Customer service is clearly not their priority. Xiao Ye gives his orders to bring the target back safely, receiving a confident reply. Their destination is a place of forgotten joy, a derelict, abandoned amusement park. Zhang Jia stares in horror, wondering what kind of nightmare he's been led into now. Zhang Jia's mind flashes back, recognizing this desolate place. He remembers seeing pale, claw-like hands on the blood-soaked ground. He recalls the hunched, shadowy figure of the being they're hunting, and those impossible blue eyes staring back from the darkness. He remembers its pale feet, standing amidst the splatters of blood. The creature is lost in that familiar void, a forest of pale, disembodied limbs. The vision shifts to an ancient ritual, led by hooded, blindfolded figures. They march in a solemn procession, carrying a heavy crimson burden. Looks like a fun parade. It's an ornate, sealed shrine, marked with a powerful ancient symbol. And the memory connects back to the present, to the creature hiding in the dark. The vision shows the creature crawling through an abyss, leaving a trail of bloody footprints. Its glowing blue eyes are wide with a terror that seems to transcend time. And that memory grounds itself in the present in this derelict amusement park. The park's forgotten mascots stare out with dead, hollow eyes. A duck-themed ride sits in silence, its cheerful facade now deeply unsettling. The carousel horses are frozen in place, silent witnesses to the park's decay. The crew steps into the ruins, with Zhang Jia wondering where the hell they are. He asks why they're hunting the child and gets a chillingly simple answer. It's dangerous. But Zhang Jia's mind is already working, seeing this desolate place as his best chance to escape.
He stares up at the skeletal Ferris wheel, his resolve hardening for one last desperate run.
The man in pink sunglasses finds the first clue, a fresh splash of blood on the ground. The crew spreads out, their dark forms a stark contrast to the park's faded cheer. Gongling's gaze is sharp, her senses on high alert in the oppressive silence. And there it is, a single bloody footprint, a sign their prey is close. The man in pink sunglasses analyzes the scene, his mind piecing together the grim puzzle. Gongling wonders aloud what could have drawn the creature to this specific desolate place. The trail of blood suggests a desperate search, a frantic hunt for something lost. Zhang Jia cries out in shock at the sheer number of bloody prints covering the ground. His captor reveals a horrifying truth. These are the same marks Zhang Jia vomited up earlier. Gongling turns, her expression unreadable, as if she's finally sensed their target's presence. The man in pink sunglasses looks up, his expression unreadable as he connects the dots. He explains that the creature has been searching for the parts of itself it lost. Zhang Jia's eyes widen in horror, asking what he means by them. But their conversation is cut short as Gongling's head snaps to the side. She confirms their fears with two simple words. Someone's here. The scene cuts away to a convoy of black cars tearing through the night. They arrive in force, a team of men in suits disembarking with grim purpose. Looks like the party's just getting started. One of them clenches a bloody fist, a clear sign they aren't here to talk. A subordinate calls out to his leader, the same furious boss from the warehouse. In his face is a mask of cold fury, clearly here to settle a very personal score. The mafia arrives in force, their dark silhouettes framed by the ruins of the amusement park. The boss issues a simple, chilling ultimatum. Find what was lost or don't return at all. His eyes are cold and unblinking, his focus absolute as he surveys the scene. He watches his men deploy, completely unaware that they are not the only hunters here tonight. The camera lingers on the side of the cleanup crew's van, a silent sign of the impending collision. The men in suits move with brutal efficiency, a dark tide sweeping into the park. They fan out across the grounds, a disciplined search party on a grim mission. Their orders are clear: tear this place apart until they find what they're looking for. The subordinate reminds his crew that their target is a child, a strange prize for this bloody affair. He grumbles, finally realizing the legendary gates of hell was just a coffin with a kid inside. So much for dramatic flair. The mafia boss clutches a jade Buddha, praying for protection in this unholy place. His men are warned to be careful as they sweep the area with their flashlights. But they're not alone. A new figure with long dark hair leads the way. He moves with a quiet confidence, a stark contrast to the nervous crew. He glances back, his pale face a mask of cold, unnerving calm. Their beams cross, cutting through the oppressive darkness of the park. The boss watches him, trusting this specialist to find what they've lost. But the specialist suddenly stops and the boss asks what's wrong. A flashlight clatters to the ground, its beam illuminating an empty space. The abandoned light is a silent testament that one of their own is gone. The abandoned beam illuminates a single bloody footprint, a grim answer to their question. The specialist suddenly hunches over, his body racked with guttural, agonized sounds. His form is rigid, a silent vessel for a voice that is clearly not his own. He begins to speak, but his voice is frail, lamenting a grandson who never came to visit. He cries out in despair, asking if the boy he raised was in pain. His men are completely baffled, questioning why their specialist suddenly sounds like a grieving grandmother. He clutches his head, trying to soothe a child that isn't there. His face twists into a mask of pure horror, announcing that Granny has returned. Well, this is awkward. The crew recoils in terror, their tough guy facades shattering in an instant. He collapses to the ground, his hand reaching out as he whispers a single cryptic word. I. The possessed specialist tells a story of vengeance, a demand for an eye for an eye. He recounts how the village chief murdered his family, a memory of brutal, unanswered violence. Below, the mafia crew descends into madness, tearing each other apart in a blind fury. The man in pink sunglasses calmly notes the connection to what Zhang Jia threw up earlier. He turns to Gongling, asking if she sees the pattern emerging from the chaos. The specialist lies motionless on the ground, surrounded by the bloody runes he manifested. The crimson trail leads away from the body, a path into the deeper darkness of the park. The man in pink sunglasses follows the trail, announcing their target is hiding nearby. And from the shadows, a pair of terrified blue eyes stare back at them. He decides to observe for now, letting the mafia's HR problem sort itself out. Zhang Jia watches the bloody chaos unfold, completely horrified by the scene. But the man in pink sunglasses just smirks, asking if he really can't see the cause. He points toward the madness, telling a confused Zhang Jia where to look. His instructions are simple. Look behind the specialist who just collapsed. The specialist is there, hiding in terror with a fresh trail of blood nearby. The camera focuses on the bloody footprints, a clear sign of their target, but his captor tells him to look even closer to see what's really there. And then he sees it, a pale, bare foot stepping into the bloody print. A shadowy figure with a single glowing eye emerges from the darkness behind the specialist. Its hand clamps over the man's face in a silent, chilling attack. Zhang Jia's eyes are wide with terror, unable to process what he's seeing. His captor points to the chaos below, asking him to look closer at the bodies. Zhang Jia's gaze is fixed on the scene, his blue eyes reflecting the madness. The man in pink sunglasses reveals the horrifying truth about what Zhang Jia threw up. The realization hits him, a single eye reflecting the impossible connection. Those cursed rice pellets were more than just a ritualistic gag. They've manifested into small, shadowy creatures crawling from the blood. A memory flashes of him vomiting, unknowingly unleashing this plague. And now those creatures are swarming the mafia, turning them on each other. Talk about a bad case of indigestion. Zhang Jia can't only stare. his mind struggling to grasp the nightmare he's unleashed. The vision continues, a forest of pale, bare feet standing in an endless void. A voice echoes in his mind, a single command to open the door. He's on the floor, trapped and surrounded by these silent, spectral figures. A memory flashes of the coffin's occupant, a trail of blood on their lips. Back in the present, Zhang Jia's mind fractures, trying to make sense of the nightmare. His captor explains these things were once human, born from inside living bodies. The quiet player clarifies their origin. They are the lingering spirits of the dead. Zhang Jia stammers, realizing they're talking about ghosts, but he's quickly silenced. The man in pink sunglasses leans in, warning him never to use that word. Apparently, it's rude. He holds up one of the glowing pellets, ready to reveal their true, terrifying name. He reveals their true name, Gu, born from the moment a person dies. They are the lingering resentment of the dead, given a horrifying form. The truth hits Zhang Jia, a wave of pure, unadulterated horror. With a grin, his captor yanks him over the edge for a shortcut to the ground floor. They crash onto the pavement, shattering a wooden structure around them. He explains that at the moment of death, these things are born from the body. But after that, he continues, no one knows where their souls truly go. He offers a chilling smile, clearly enjoying this lesson in morbid theology. They simply wander, lost spirits trapped between worlds, drawn to resentment. And now, he concludes, they've all been drawn here by a familiar presence. He reveals the final, horrifying truth. Zhang Jia is the door for these spirits. He's not just a resurrected boy. He's something else entirely. A ghouling. The vision connects him to the creature, two sides of the same cursed coin. For a moment, the creature's face shows a flicker of its former humanity. And all around them, the Mafia's men are consumed by the vengeful spirits. Zhang Jia can only watch, his mind struggling to accept this new reality. Gongling joins them, her weapon ready, as her partner explains their purpose. She announces her intention to clear a path through the chaos. The possessed horde surges forward, a tide of mindless, violent rage. And she moves, a blur of motion cutting through the spirits with brutal efficiency. The creature's terror is reflected in Zhang Jia's own horrified eyes. Its glowing blue gaze is filled with a deep, ancient, and very human fear. The vision becomes a chaotic freefall, hunters and hunted tumbling through an abyss of bodies. Meanwhile, one of the few surviving Mafia members sprints toward his boss. He screams in terror, trying to explain the madness that just unfolded. He frantically reports that his men turned on each other, possessed by an unseen force. He collapses at his boss's feet, the last man standing from his squad. His face is a mask of sweat and disbelief, the horror of the scene still fresh. But the Mafia boss is unmoved, his expression cold as he holds a bloody fan. Looks like someone's getting a bad performance review. He calmly cleans the blade, repeating his order. Find the target or don't bother coming back. The subordinate's body hits the ground, his plea for mercy left unanswered. Zhang Jia can only stare in horror, but for the cleanup crew, it's just another Tuesday. Suddenly, the man in pink sunglasses lunges, his hand closing around a pale throat. He lifts the creature into the air, a triumphant smirk on his face as he announces the capture. The being chokes and sputters, its blue eyes wide with a very human terror. The man in pink sunglasses watches with a detached curiosity, analyzing his struggling specimen. He notices the crude stitches on its torso, a familiar mark from the coffin. The creature lets out a silent scream, tears of pain and blood marking its face. A dark, swirling mark begins to form on its skin, a sign of the curse within. Its gaze is fixed on its captor, a final, desperate plea from the abyss. A flash of ancient coins and blood, a memory of a price paid long ago. The vision shifts to a dark ritual, a needle poised to seal a terrible fate. A woman watches in horror as a single blue eye opens, witnessing the birth of a curse. And in the present, the creature unleashes a silent, agonized scream of pure torment. The psychic backlash hits them all, but the man in pink sunglasses remains unfazed. The creature's gaze softens, its rage replaced by a deep, heartbreaking sorrow. A wisp of green energy escapes its hand, a fragment of a soul breaking free. The man in pink sunglasses watches, his expression unreadable, his decision made. He lifts the now limp creature, offering a quiet, almost gentle apology. Well, that's one way to end a monster hunt. Its eyes finally close, finding a moment of peace in the arms of its captor. The man in pink sunglasses casually declares the mission a success, the creature limp in his arms. But his expression shifts, a flicker of something serious behind the cool facade. Gongling surveys the field of bodies, but her focus is on their missing asset, Zhang Jia. And we see our boy, his eyes wide with a fresh wave of terror. A massive foot steps into frame and the cleanup crew looks up at the new arrival. The Mafia boss stands over them, a towering silhouette demanding to know who hurt his men. The man in pink sunglasses and Gong Ling are completely unfazed, telling him he's the one who went too far. The boss points a finger, declaring the creature in his arms is his private property. His face is a mask of unsettling glee as he promises a punishment worse than death. But the two hunters just stare back, ready for whatever this unhinged man can throw at them. The man in pink sunglasses feigns surprise at the mafia boss's dramatic entrance. He mockingly tells the furious man he has so many questions for him. Once the bodies are cleared. He then casually suggests Gong Ling should go chase after their runaway asset, Zhang Jia. But the mafia boss looms over them, promising that no one is leaving tonight. And in the chaos, Zhang Jia makes a break for it, sprinting into the darkness. He glances back, realizing with a gasp that no one is chasing him. A wave of relief washes over him. He thinks he's finally free. But the park is still haunted by the spirits he unknowingly unleashed. The vengeful Gu continue their rampage, a tide of mindless violence. But Zhang Jia's focus is singular, escape no matter the cost. He runs through the desolate park, a strange rustling sound catching his attention. He glances back, his eyes widening at the sight of pale, bare feet in the shadows. He peeks around a corner, his heart pounding in his chest. The rustling grows louder, a sound that seems to follow him through the darkness. He breaks into a sprint, trying to convince himself he has nothing to do with this. But the fear and exhaustion are etched on his face, a testament to the night's horrors. He stumbles, screaming his denial of the monstrous new label they've given him. A surge of defiance cuts through his terror. He refuses to be a prisoner. But the park's decaying mascots seem to watch his every move. He runs on, a lone figure sprinting across the desolate grounds of the park. His eyes are wide, a flicker of recognition cutting through the terror. He stops before the skeletal remains of a carousel, the place feeling disturbingly familiar. The painted horses stare back with cracked, hollow eyes, frozen in a silent scream. And in that moment, the memories begin to surface, a nightmare he'd long forgotten. The realization hits him, a single horrifying truth reflected in his gaze. A memory shatters, a vision of a young boy and his parents in this very park. The ghost of a happier time now haunts his terrified eyes. He whispers the words aloud, confirming this was once a place of joy, not horror. And elsewhere in the darkness, another voice echoes his thoughts, another soul remembering. The creature collapses, coughing blood onto the cold ground as it whispers for its brother. The man in pink sunglasses leans in, ready to connect the final dots. He asks the creature what happened here before all this chaos began. The memory shifts to a place called South Paradise, a voice telling a child to smile. A lone figure stands in the past, questioning why this had to happen. And in the present, Zhang Jia asks the same question, his face a mask of dread. A single tear traces a path down his cheek, a testament to a buried trauma. A voice calls his name, pulling him from the depths of his memory. He snaps back to reality, his eyes wide with a fresh wave of panic. He turns to see a shadowy hand reaching for him, a new threat emerging from the dark. But it's a new player who strikes, a manic grin on his face as he joins the fray. This party just keeps getting bigger. The man in pink sunglasses faces this new, unhinged combatant as the mafia boss watches. The newcomer moves like a blur, delivering a devastating blow to the mafia's specialist. But the man in pink sunglasses offers a casual greeting, trying to talk him down. The mafia boss just grins, watching his own men get torn apart by this new arrival. The newcomer's aggression leaves the man in pink sunglasses with little choice but to engage. The specialist recoils in terror, his eyes wide with the shock of the attack. He's slammed into a freestanding door that appears from absolutely nowhere. The impact is brutal, a spray of blood marking the end of the brief fight. The man in pink sunglasses wonders aloud where the door came from. The important questions. The defeated specialist coughs, asking his attacker what strange faction he serves. The newcomer cheerfully claims he's from the Justice faction, a name that sounds entirely made up. The two men stand in a tense standoff, the defeated specialist lying between them. The man in pink sunglasses' playful demeanor is gone, replaced by cold focus. The creature, meanwhile, seems to have finally found a moment of peace in its slumber. The scene explodes in a flash of red and black, signaling the start of the fight. Elsewhere, Zhang Jia continues his desperate flight, glancing back in terror. The man in pink sunglasses realizes Gong Ling should have caught their runaway asset by now. He decides it's time to wrap this up and rejoin the hunt for Zhang Jia. But the mafia boss lunges, demanding attention as he swings a heavy weapon. The boss's rage is now directed at everyone, attacking both men in a blind fury. The mafia boss unleashes a furious strike, his fan cutting through the air. But a dark, clawed hand reaches out to meet the attack head-on. The man in pink sunglasses stops the blow cold, the impact sending out a shockwave. He questions the weapon's material as the boss glares back with glowing, hateful eyes. For a moment, the hunter's cool facade cracks, a single bead of sweat betraying the tension. The fan opens to reveal its true form, a collection of razor-sharp blades. He dodges the deadly arc, the bladed weapon narrowly missing its mark. He looks down, his expression unreadable as he assesses this new threat. He catches a blade in his teeth, mocking the weapon as the boss's terror is reflected in his glasses. Enraged by the disrespect, the mafia boss swings again with everything he has. The mafia boss brings his foot down with the force of a falling building, but the man in pink sunglasses just watches, a starstruck expression on his face. The boss, however, is a sweaty, drooling mess, his rage consuming him. The hunter stands over his fallen prey, calmly asking if he's ready to talk. But the boss's body begins to contort, a horrifying transformation taking place. The man in pink sunglasses dodges, his cool demeanor finally cracking. He declares he's had enough of this sideshow, ready to end it. But a new player emerges from the boss's body, promising a sleepless night of violence. Well, that's one way to make an entrance. The man in pink sunglasses just sighs, completely over this night's drama. The new creature lunges, its limbs twisting into monstrous blades as it screams for blood. The newcomer writhes on the ground as the mafia's specialist watches in abject horror. But the man in pink sunglasses ignores the chaos, his attention fixed solely on the specialist. He raises a gloved hand, and the specialist freezes, trapped by an unseen force. A close-up on his eye reveals a reflection of pure psychic terror. He's forced to witness a vision of the newcomer's power, a storm of screaming souls. The specialist is paralyzed, his mind locked in this horrifying mental assault. The psychic pressure is so intense it shatters the very lenses of his glasses. He stumbles back, screaming in agony from the vision forced into his mind. He can only point a trembling finger, stammering about the hand that caused it all. The man in pink sunglasses just smirks, feigning ignorance with a casual question. He adjusts his glove, casually mentioning he hasn't even started trying yet. The specialist's eye reflects the shattered lens and the pure terror of the vision. His mind struggles to process the horrifying power he was just forced to witness. He finally realizes the man before him is something far beyond human. With the threat established, the hunter calmly demands to know the creature's origin. Broken and terrified, the specialist clutches his head, his will completely shattered. He removes his broken glasses, signaling his complete and utter surrender. He reveals the creature, and the coffin were a gift from an unknown party. The hunter's playful demeanor vanishes as he demands a single, crucial answer: who? But the specialist hesitates, terrified to speak the name of this mysterious benefactor. With a final, desperate gasp, the specialist utters a single terrifying name: Yama. The man in pink sunglasses watches, his expression unreadable as he processes this new information. The specialist's hand moves, using his own blood to begin a dark and forbidden ritual. He paints a crimson sigil in the air, a desperate, last-ditch effort to turn the tables. He screams in defiance, claiming he never wanted to unleash this forbidden technique. His prayer begins, an incantation to summon a god of the underworld. The ritual calls for a ruler of the undead to rise and command the ghosts of this place. But the man in pink sunglasses just scoffs, mocking his prayer with a sarcastic abracadabra. The specialist's eyes turn white, channeling the entity as he screams for his enemy to die. His target, however, is completely unfazed, asking what all the yapping is about. The specialist's eye is wide with terror, his ultimate technique completely ignored. The hunter simply asks again where the creature came from, his patience wearing thin. He continues his prayer, trying to explain the power he's summoning. Someone should tell him his call isn't going through. Nearby, the creature lies still, a trail of blood marking its silent suffering. He calls upon the ghosts and the undead, desperate for his ritual to work. But the man in pink sunglasses grabs him, demanding he stop the theatrics and respond. He leans in, asking one last time for the origin of the child. The camera pans to the night sky, a silent moment of contemplation under the full moon, and a voice echoes in the darkness, a simple phrase of understanding. The specialist, now completely broken, swears he's revealed everything he knows. The specialist finally breaks, agreeing to whatever the hunter demands. With the information secured, the man in pink sunglasses simply tells him to leave. He offers a parting warning about dabbling in forbidden arts, especially with children. And he leaves the man with a final chilling promise: they will be watching. The specialist can only nod in terrified agreement, his will completely shattered. The hunter adds one last piece of advice about dental hygiene: because priorities. With the mafia's specialist thoroughly broken, he turns his attention back to his team. He taps his earpiece, casually checking in with his partner. On the other end of the line, Gong Ling's voice is sharp and focused. She has an update, and it's about their missing asset, Zhang Jia. She reports the obvious. Their asset has once again escaped. But their tech guy is already on the case, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He quickly pulls up a location, announcing he's found Zhang Jia's home address. In the back, their other prize lies still, covered in ancient ritualistic coins. The man in pink sunglasses glances in the mirror, asking how she let him get away. Gongling's silence is a clear sign of her mounting frustration. A flashback shows Zhang Jia sprinting through a filthy back alley, desperate for freedom. Gongling was right on his tail, but he still managed to slip through her grasp. She grits her teeth, comparing their runaway to a resilient cockroach. He does have a knack for survival, but her partner seems unconcerned, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. He gives Gongling a simple, clear instruction: don't engage. The van cuts through the city's back alleys, closing in on its target. Meanwhile, Zhang Jia has made it home, frantically grabbing his belongings. He moves through the dark, cluttered room, his only thought to get out. The terror of the night is etched on his face, but he can't stop now. He fumbles with a drawer, searching for something important. And there it is, a single envelope amidst the clutter of a forgotten life. He pulls it free, his last hope for a life beyond this nightmare. But his escape triggers a memory, a pair of calm, familiar eyes. The vision shatters, replaced by his own blue gaze, a single tear of grief escaping. A sudden, racking cough tears through Zhang Jia's body. He collapses to his knees, the strain of the night finally catching up to him. He pulls his hand away to find it stained with fresh, dark blood. Kneeling in the ruins of his life, he stares at the grim reality in his palm. But a sound at the door snaps him out of it, his eyes wide with a new fear. His captors stand in the doorway, offering a chillingly casual greeting. Well, so much for home field advantage. The man in pink sunglasses and Gongling look on, their expressions unreadable. They step inside, noting that their runaway asset has already flown the coop. The ransacked room tells a story of a desperate, hurried escape. The hunter surveys the scene, taking in every detail of his target's flight. His eyes scan a calendar, revealing the grueling schedule of Zhang Jia's life. Gongling notes that this building is a haven for the city's struggling workers. The cluttered hallway confirms it, a place where people live on the edge of society. They step into the apartment, a silent acknowledgement of the hard life lived here. But their search is cut short by a sound from outside the window. And there he is, clinging to the side of the building, his escape far from over. His mind races, trying to understand how they tracked him down so quickly. With nowhere to go but down, he curses his luck. So much for a clean getaway. But as he prepares to fall, something within him awakens, his feet changing into dark talons. His expression hardens, the fear replaced by a grim, newfound resolve. And from the darkness, one of their red-eyed guides appears to watch. It lands beside him, a silent, unnerving observer to his desperate climb. His eyes widen, a fresh wave of terror washing over him. He lets out a scream as the bird takes flight, his concentration broken. But it's Gongling's voice that cuts through the panic, announcing his capture. His newly formed talons scrape against the wall, his desperate grip finally failing. She grabs his arm, holding him suspended high above the city streets. He can only curse his fate, realizing there's no escape this time. But his captor has other plans, and Zhang Jia is sent plummeting towards the ground. He tumbles down the side of the building, his scream echoing through the alley. Guess she's not a fan of taking the stairs. He plummets through the air, a scream of agony torn from his lips. He hits the ground hard, the impact forcing a pained cough from his lungs. But even through the pain, a single tear marks a flicker of defiance in his eye. His world spins as he crashes onto a dumpster, breaking his fall just enough. He looks up to see Gongling descending, her shadowy form closing in on him. The monstrous talons on his hands revert, his brief transformation already fading. The wall bears the scars of his descent, a trail of dark, desperate prints. From above, Gongling watches his fall with a cold, calculating gaze. He leaves a dark imprint on the ground, a grim snow angel in the city's filth. She lands gracefully, standing over him like a predator who's finally cornered her prey. The camera pulls back, showing the vast, grimy courtyard where he fell. Her partner watches from above, his expression as cool and distant as ever. A flashback to the van where their tech guy was digging for information. The quiet player's voice had echoed in his mind, sharing a key insight. He'd revealed that their target was not so different from them. The information had given the hunter a moment of unexpected pause. Back in the van, Gongling had confirmed it aloud. Zhang Jia is also an orphan. And for a moment, his cool facade seemed to crack. Guess they have a type. Back in the present, he stands in the empty, ransacked apartment. The rental ads on the wall tell a story of a desperate, lonely existence. But even after that fall, Zhang Jia hits the ground running, adrenaline his only fuel. He sprints through the grimy back alleys, his breath ragged in the oppressive silence. A panicked glance over his shoulder confirms his worst fears are still right behind him. He curses their persistence as Gong Ling and her partner close the distance. And high above, a familiar silhouette circles the sliver of sky between buildings. Their eye in the sky ensures there's nowhere left for him to hide. He pushes on, a desperate flight through the city's concrete maze. But his eyes betray the truth. He's trapped, and he knows it. A figure blocks his path, calling his name with an unnerving calm. Looks like this marathon has a finish line after all. The man in pink sunglasses offers a simple, non-negotiable invitation to return. Zhang Jia stares in shock, his desperate escape finally cut short. The narrow alley has become a cage, with a hunter at either end. But just as the final blow is about to land, the scene is violently interrupted. A masked figure appears from nowhere, intercepting the attack with surprising speed. The man in pink sunglasses pauses, his focus shifting to this unexpected new player. Zhang Jia is thrown to the side, caught in the crossfire of a fight he doesn't understand. The newcomer's eyes are filled with a desperate protective fury. Zhang Jia hits the ground, completely baffled by his sudden violent rescue. Well, this is a new development. But Gong Ling is already on him, her voice a cold command to surrender. Her gaze is like ice, a silent promise that this chase is finally over. Zhang Jia is cornered, his face a mask of sweat and exhausted defiance. The scene flashes back to his desperate climb, trying to escape her pursuit. Gong Ling had been relentless, a shadow he just couldn't shake. His world had become a blur of motion, driven by pure survival instinct. Every gasp for air was a testament to his sheer will to escape. The narrow alleyways offered no real sanctuary from the hunt. And now, back in the present, she stands at the end of that same alley. She holds his jacket, a trophy from a chase that pushed them both to their limits. He's like the city's other vermin, resilient, stubborn, and refusing to be crushed. She explains to her partner that this is why he was so difficult to catch. The man in pink sunglasses stands calmly amidst the urban decay. The alley walls seem to press in, a concrete trap with no exit. A vision flashes of a bound figure, screaming of things left undone. He wonders what could possibly drive someone to run so desperately. His mind returns to the calendar, a testament to a life of endless work. And that one circled date, a note to send money to someone, somewhere. A sudden realization hits him as he and Gong Ling stand in the alley. She holds out the backpack Zhang Jia dropped during the chase. He reaches inside, his expression shifting as he feels for its contents. His eyes narrow, finally understanding the reason for the boy's desperate flight. The tech guy's voice echoes from the past, confirming Zhang Jia's status as an orphan. The man in pink sunglasses processes this, the new information adding a layer to the hunt. The file reveals his adoptive parents died 2 years prior in a tragic accident, and the location of that accident was the very same amusement park they just left. A photo shows a younger, innocent Zhang Jia before his world fell apart. But the tech guy's report isn't finished. There's more to this grim history. He mentions 2 other incidents, deepening the mystery of their target's past. A memory shows Zhang Jia alone, lost in the uncaring anonymity of the city. He's running, always running, even when no one is physically chasing him. Seems to be a theme with this kid. He glances back in terror, haunted by something more than just the cleanup crew. The tech guy's report continues, showing a memory of Zhang Jia being berated. The file then shifts to another incident, focusing on a panicked young man. He pushes recklessly through a crowd, his fist clenched in desperation. In his blind rush, he accidentally knocks a small child to the ground. The realization of what he's done hits him like a physical blow. The little girl's scream of pain cuts through the noise of the crowd. Her parents immediately rush to her side, shielding her from the stranger. The mother's face twists in fury as she confronts the young man. His eyes are wide with guilt, trapped in the consequences of his actions. The file flashes to another memory, a scene of bullying by the water. Misfortune seems to be this kid's middle name. The file shows a memory of him isolated, watching as others are tormented. His face is a mask of sweat and tension, a boy living on the edge. Another incident shows him lashing out, a moment of violence in a crowded street. He's always running, falling, and being ignored by the world around him. The tech guy's report paints a picture of a life spent in desperate flight. He's been hunted and crushed, treated like something to be stamped out. And in the present, his desperate escape ends with a painful, clumsy fall. He hits the ground, the pain a familiar echo of a lifetime of struggle. His knee slams into the pavement, his momentum brought to a dead stop. But even on the ground, his eyes burn with a refusal to surrender. The envelope he was searching for lies on the ground, the reason for his desperate flight. A memory flashes, a younger version of himself, his eyes wide with a terror he can't escape. The vision is a blur of chaos, a memory of two figures in a desperate struggle. A bloody hook flashes in his mind, a fragment of the accident that took his family. Back in the present, that same horror is reflected in his own haunted blue eyes. A violent cough racks his body, forcing a spray of blood from his lips. His gaze is fixed on the crimson stain, another mark of his cursed existence. He collapses, looking up in exhausted defiance from a pool of his own blood. His hands clutch the envelope, the one thing he was willing to die for. But his escape is over. His captors stand before him, the alley now a dead end. He hangs his head, sweat and blood marking the end of his desperate run. His captors look down, the man in pink sunglasses delivering a cold truth.
He explains that Zhangjia's freedom will only lead to more death.
The scene shifts, a memory of a bleak sky from a time long past. A memory of an orphanage hallway, a first step toward a new life. A file describes a quiet, mature boy who rarely speaks. Through the glass, a young Zhangjia meets his new family. A gentle hand takes his, offering a promise of safety and comfort. His adoptive parents smile, hoping for a lively future together. But even at 5 years old, Zhangjia's eyes hold a deep, unsettling stillness. The memory continues, a small boy leaving the orphanage for a new life. They take him to the city, a world of towering buildings and bright lights. His new parents show him his room, a hopeful offering of a normal childhood. But his eyes are hollow, reflecting a stillness that doesn't belong in a child. His mother's touch is gentle, a quiet attempt to bridge the emotional distance. They welcome him with warm smiles, promising him he's part of a family now. They tell him he should be happy, but his expression remains an empty slate. His only response is a quiet murmur, lost in the silence of the city night. The seasons change, and winter blankets the world in a cold, quiet white. They try to build a life together, a fragile moment of peace in the snow. His parents laugh in the snow, a memory of a life filled with simple joy. But even then, young Zhangjia's eyes were wide and still, an observer in his own life. They tried to give him a normal childhood, filled with winter walks and small kindnesses. A simple treat, a taste of a happiness he could barely comprehend. For a time, they were just a family, walking together against the cold. The seasons passed, and his parents' love was a constant shield against the world. They shared bike rides in the summer, trying to pedal away the shadows in his past. A montage of photos shows a life they built for him, a collage of forced smiles and quiet moments. They took him to the amusement park, begging him to smile, to feel something. Talk about a tough crowd. But while other children laughed, Zhangjia remained trapped in his own silent world. His mother points to the carousel, a rare moment of excitement in a quiet life. But the ride operator explains there's only one seat left for the next ride. His parents suggest he ride alone while they go grab a bite to eat. They promise to ride with him when they get back, a promise they would never keep. He watches them wave goodbye as they disappear into the bustling crowd. The camera focuses on a painted horse, a silent witness to a fading memory. Other children laugh and shout, their joy a world away from his own. He stands by the ride, a solitary figure amidst the cheerful chaos. The memory of his parents' warm, loving smiles is the last he would ever have. And for a fleeting moment, a small, genuine smile finally touches his lips. The carousel spins, a blur of color and innocent laughter. The sky above the park is a perfect, cloudless blue, a picture of peace. And for the first time, a real, genuine smile lights up young Zhangjia's face. He waits for his parents, unaware of the shadow about to fall over his life. But then a commotion breaks out, the crowd's cheerful mood instantly shattering. A voice cuts through the noise, shouting about a collapsed wall of scaffolding. And then he hears the words that will change everything. A couple was crushed. He pushes through the forest of legs, a small boy fighting his way toward a nightmare. The memory fades, leaving only the cold silence of a winter sky. And life goes on, a quiet, lonely existence in a sterile classroom. The memory shifts to an 11-year-old Zhangjia, his eyes just as hollow then as they are now. He sits at his desk, a silent fixture in a world that moves on without him. He watches the teacher, a ghost in his own life, simply observing the motions. When class ends, the room fills with noise and life, but his world remains silent. But then a hand rests on his shoulder, a gentle interruption to his solitude. He turns, his vacant gaze meeting a rare moment of human connection. A boy with glasses offers a warm, friendly smile, holding a textbook open. He tries to engage Zhangjia, who can only stare back in quiet confusion. The boy points to a problem in the book, a simple offer of help. And Zhangjia notices the hearing aid, a shared mark of being different. The boy patiently explains the lesson, a simple act of kindness. For the first time in years, someone reaches out to him without wanting anything. His new friend's smile is genuine, and Jang-ja can only stare back. As the other students fade into the background, a new connection forms. They stay behind in the quiet classroom, two lonely souls finding company. Soon, the school days end with a shared walk and a friendly wave. The boy's warmth is constant, a stark contrast to Jang-ja's stillness. And just like that, the wall around our boy begins to crack. He's even invited to his friend's home for dinner, a taste of a normal life. But the outside world is never far, and bullies are a universal constant. A group of boys surrounds his friend, their cruelty on full display. But while his friend seems unfazed, Jang-ja watches with wide, shocked eyes. And then a strange, unsettling smile spreads across his face. The memory shifts to a clear blue sky, a moment of deceptive peace. But the image of his friend's glasses and hearing aid on the sand tells a darker story. The memory becomes a blur of motion, of bare feet running in terror. Another memory surfaces, of a day at the beach where he sat alone. While the other boys played in the waves, he remained an outsider on the shore. His hands work the sand, a quiet attempt to build something in his lonely world. He looks down with a faint smile, lost in his own isolated thoughts. But his quiet moment is shattered by a scream from the water. He looks up to see one of the bullies struggling, his friend panicking nearby. Without a second thought, Jang-ja sprints into the waves to help. He fights the current, a desperate attempt to reach the drowning boy. The memory fades to a pair of wet feet on the cold, hard ground. On the seawall, the group is gathered, but Jang-ja is once again an outsider. A lifeless hand tells the story of a rescue that came too late. The bullies mourn their friend, their grief isolating Jang-ja completely. Back in the classroom, his friend holds a dripping hearing aid, a symbol of their broken bond. And just like that, he's alone again, watching his only friend walk away. His friend tries to offer comfort, but Jang-ja's eyes are distant, lost. The memory shifts to a brutal beating, the price for a life he couldn't save. The bullies surround him, their fingers pointing, their verdict delivered. He's left to endure the violence alone, branded by a tragedy he tried to stop. His desk becomes a monument to their hatred, labeling him a curse. High school, what a magical time. And so he returns to his silent world, an outcast in a crowded classroom. The school day ends and the world rushes past him, leaving him behind. The classroom empties, but he remains, a ghost haunting his own desk. The sun sets on another lonely day, painting the industrial sky in hues of orange. The city's steel bones stand tall, a silent witness to his isolated life. He eats alone, a simple meal against a lonely industrial sky. The years pass, and Jang-ja now works a grueling construction job. He finds his solitude high above the city, watching the sunset. But a coworker approaches, a friendly face in a world of strangers. He offers company, noticing Jang-ja is always on his own. For the first time in a long time, someone reaches out with simple kindness. The memory shifts to the harsh reality of his daily labor. He throws himself into the work, a silent, relentless effort. Each breath is a testament to the physical toll of his existence. A voice calls his name, pulling him from his thoughts. The coworker offers him a bottle of water, a simple gesture of kindness. He explains he got them from the foreman, insisting Jang-ja drink first. Jang-ja hesitates, his eyes wide with a familiar guarded stillness. But a connection forms in the shared hardship of the construction site. The coworker's energy is infectious, a stark contrast to Jang-ja's silence. They share a quiet break, a small moment of peace in a grueling day. But their rest is cut short by the foreman's angry shouts. Someone's not a fan of hydration breaks. They work together, carrying the heavy burdens of the job as a team. For the first time in years, Jang-ja isn't completely alone. They work late into the night, two small figures against the vast city. The sky is painted in soft pastels, a quiet backdrop to their grueling work. High above the city, they share a meal, a rare moment of camaraderie. But Jang-ja's expression remains still, a familiar, guarded emptiness in his eyes. His friend asks why he's always smiling, and he replies with a simple, almost flippant question. He shares his mother's wisdom. Smiling invites good fortune, not bad. It's a simple philosophy for a life that has been anything but easy. He believes they have to smile, if only to keep from letting themselves down. He urges Jang-ja to smile more, a fortune cookie philosophy for a tough life. The conversation shifts, his friend asking why he dropped out of school so young. His friend admits he wishes he could have gone, a dream Jang-ja simply discarded. His friend reveals he has a sister he's working to support. He proudly explains that she's an exceptional student. He sends his salary home every month to ensure she can graduate from university. He holds up an envelope, a symbol of his sacrifice and her future. Jiang Jia's eyes widen, a flicker of understanding in his otherwise vacant stare. He asks his friend if the salary is enough to cover all the costs. The coworker bluntly admits that it isn't. He then cheekily suggests he was planning to borrow money from Jiang Jia. Jiang Jia jokes back, suggesting his friend send him to university instead. The memory fades, replaced by the grim reality of a rainy night at the construction site. The memory continues, their boots splashing through the muddy work site. His friend returns with a meal, his smile as bright as ever. He'd brought them both dinner, a simple gesture in the pouring rain. But as they walk, a shadow falls over their path. A massive piece of equipment moves, a blur of red in the dark. Suddenly, the site erupts in chaos, workers shouting in panic. His friend's eyes are wide with terror, a desperate scream for help. Everyone rushes toward the source of the commotion, a frantic stampede. The workers gather around the scene of a sudden, horrific accident. And Jiang Jia can only stare, as tragedy finds him once again. His eyes are wide, reflecting a horror he knows all too well. A blood-soaked crane hook hangs in the rain, a familiar omen of death. The other workers can only stare as Jiang Jia stands frozen, dinner still in hand. Rain and tears trace the same path down his face, his world shattered once more. The water bottles, a simple gift from a friend, now lie forgotten in the mud. And from his despair, something monstrous begins to emerge from his back. His face contorts in a silent scream, a lifetime of grief finally boiling over. The memory flashes back, a small boy pushing through a crowd toward another tragedy. Another memory surfaces, of a friend lost and the blame that followed. This kid's luck is just impressively bad. The workers stand as silent silhouettes, another tragedy absorbed by the unforgiving city. The memory ends with a body covered in a blood-stained tarp in the rain. His friend is carried away, another life lost in Jiang Jia's orbit. Rain and tears trace the same path down his face, a silent testament to his grief. He stands frozen, the world once again turning to ash around him. The envelope, a symbol of hope for another family, lies forgotten in the mud. And in the present, he reaches for that same symbol, now stained with his own blood. He clutches it, his voice a broken whisper asking why this keeps happening. The memories of old taunts flood back, the cruel names carved into his desk. You know, just kids being kids. He cries out, asking what he's done to deserve this endless suffering. He collapses in the alley, a lifetime of tragedy finally breaking him completely. A single step forward breaks the silence of the alley. The man in pink sunglasses extends a hand, offering a simple invitation to return. He even suggests they might be able to help, a strange offer from a captor.